Be prepared. March 20th is about to deliver something most people aren't ready for. And if you don't understand what's happening, you'll make mistakes this week that could follow you for the rest of 2026. Three cosmic events are colliding on the same day, not the same week. The same day, the Spring Equinox, Mercury stationing direct after 3 weeks of retrograde, and a new moon sitting at the 29th degree of Pisces. The very last degree of the very last sign in the Zodiac, the end of everything before the beginning of anything. This kind of convergence doesn't happen gently, it doesn't wait for you to be ready. And the people who walk into this window unaware are the ones who end up forcing decisions, sending messages they can't take back, and starting things that were never meant to begin under this sky. That's why I need you to pay attention right now. Because what happens over the next 48 hours will either set you up for the strongest stretch of your year or pull you into a cycle of confusion you didn't need to enter. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to avoid and what to do instead. And later, I'll tell you which 3 zodiac signs are going to feel this convergence the hardest. If yours is one of them, you really can't afford to miss what's coming. To understand why March 20th carries so much weight, you need to understand what happens when multiple transits land within the same 24-hour window. One event on its own is manageable. You feel it, you process it, you respond to it. But when 3 events hit at the same time, the effects don't just add up. They multiply, each one amplifies the other, the emotional intensity deepens. The stakes rise, and the margin for error shrinks in a way most people don't expect. Think of it like the ocean. A single wave rolls in and pulls back. You barely notice. But 3 waves arriving at the same time from different directions create a surge. And surges don't care whether you were expecting them or not. The Spring Equinox alone is already one of the most significant moments in the astrological calendar. It's not just a change of season, it's the astrological new year. The moment the sun crosses into Aries at 0 degrees, and the entire zodiac wheel resets itself. Ancient astrologers treated this day as the true beginning of the cycle, the point where intention becomes direction and everything that came before gets composted into something new. But this year, the equinox doesn't arrive on its own. It arrives in a collision, and that collision is what makes March 20th unlike any other day you'll experience this year. What you do or don't do inside this window will echo through the months that follow, and that's not dramatic language, that's how stacking works. Let's start with the piece most people are completely overlooking, the new moon. This new moon falls in Pisces, which on its own would already be significant. Pisces is the sign of surrender, of release, of letting go of what no longer serves the path you're walking. But this isn't just any degree of Pisces. This moon sits at the 29th degree. The anaretic degree, some astrologers call it the degree of fate, and there's a reason for that name. The 29th degree of any sign carries an urgency to it, a feeling that something must be completed before time runs out. But the 29th degree of Pisces is the final degree of the final sign. The absolute end point of the entire zodiac. There's nowhere left to go after this. Whatever hasn't been resolved, released, or completed gets pushed to the surface with a pressure that most people aren't prepared for. This is where the danger lives. Because that pressure creates an almost irresistible urge to act, to make a decision, to send the message, to sign the thing, to end the relationship or start a new one. And the feeling behind that urge is real. The emotions are genuine, but the clarity isn't there yet. Pisces at 29 degrees doesn't give you clear vision, it gives you emotional flooding. It wraps everything in fog. Intuition, dreams, confusion, and longing all mixed together until you can't tell the difference between what you actually know and what you're projecting. Neptune amplifies this even further, adding layers of illusion that feel convincingly like truth. So here's what this moon is actually asking of you: stillness, not action. It's an ending moon, not a beginning moon. It's asking you to sit with the discomfort of completion without rushing into what comes next. The chapter that's closing needs your presence, not your reaction. If something surfaces during this window, an emotion, a memory, a realization that hits you sideways, let it arrive. Write it down. Sit with it, but don't make any permanent moves based on what shows up under this moon, because the fog lifts. It always lifts, and when it does, you'll see the situation for what it actually is. Not what it felt like at 2 in the morning when the world was quiet and your mind was loud. And then there's Mercury. This is where most people get completely tripped up. Mercury has been retrograde for roughly 3 weeks leading up to this date. You've probably already felt it. Miscommunications, delays, technology acting strange. Old names showing up on your phone that you hadn't thought about in months. Plans falling apart for no clear reason. That's the retrograde doing what it does. Slowing things down so you're forced to review instead of react. On March 20th, Mercury stations direct. It literally stops moving in the sky before it changes direction. And most people hear those words, Mercury goes direct, and immediately exhale. They think it's over. They think the storm has passed. They start making plans, signing agreements, having the conversations they've been holding back for weeks. And that's the trap. The station is the most volatile point of the entire retrograde cycle. When a planet stations, it's at its most powerful and its most unstable at the same time. Think of it like a car slamming the brakes before making a U-turn at full speed. For a moment, everything is suspended. Nothing is moving forward. Nothing is moving backward. You're caught in the space between. That space is not the time to act. It's the time to watch. During a Mercury station, buried things surface. Truths you didn't want to see become impossible to ignore. Real intentions get revealed. Yours and other people's. That conversation you've been rehearsing in your head for 2 weeks, the one you keep editing, the one you're convinced will finally fix things. March 20th is not the day to have it. Give it at least 72 hours, because what you say on the station and what you actually mean might be 2 completely different things. And the person hearing it is operating under the same distorted signal you are. Here's the part most people miss. Mercury retrograde brought things back for a reason. Old relationships, old patterns, old versions of situations you thought you were done with. And now that Mercury is stationing direct, you'll finally start seeing those returns for what they really are, not invitations to go back, checkpoints. Mirrors showing you how much you've actually changed since the last time you stood in that same spot. The answer arrives on the station, but the action belongs to the days that follow, not this one. Now here's the piece that ties everything together and makes March 20th feel heavier than it probably should. The sun enters Aries. The astrological new year ignites. Raw, impulsive, bold fire energy floods the collective. Every instinct in your body says go, move, start, charge forward. Aries doesn't wait. Aries doesn't plan. Aries acts. But this year, the moment the sun steps into Aries, it walks directly into Saturn. And Saturn has recently moved into early Aries for the first time since the late 1990s. That alone is a generational shift. The last time Saturn occupied this space, the world looked entirely different. And so did you. When the sun meets Saturn, the experience is unmistakable. It feels like pressing the gas pedal and the brake at the same time. You want to move, but something holds you in place. You want to begin, but there's a wall, not a punishment, a test. Saturn doesn't block people who aren't ready. Saturn blocks people who are almost ready but haven't built the foundation yet. It asks one question, and it never asks politely. Can this sustain itself, or are you just excited? And if the answer is excitement without structure, Saturn holds the door shut until you come back with something solid. This is why March 20th feels so frustrating for a lot of people. The equinox screams go, Saturn says not yet, and Saturn wins that argument every single time. But here's what most people never realize. Saturn isn't saying no, it's saying not like this, not this fast, not without a plan beneath your feet. The people who respect that message and spend the next few weeks building something real instead of chasing a feeling are the ones who experience something extraordinary by June and July. The ones who force it on March 20th, they rebuild from scratch in April. Patience isn't passive when Saturn is involved. Patience is strategic. So let me be very clear about what you should avoid on this day. Don't start anything new. Don't launch a project, sign a contract, or begin a partnership. Mercury is still wobbly. The moon is an ending moon. Saturn is blocking the entrance to Aries with its arms folded. The energy does not support beginnings on this day. It just doesn't. Don't send the emotional message. Don't have the talk. Don't make the phone call you've been debating in your head for weeks. Pisces fog and Mercury's station combined are a guarantee for miscommunication. What feels like the perfect moment to finally say what you need to say is actually the worst possible window for it. Your feelings are real. Your timing is off. Don't make permanent decisions about a relationship. What you're experiencing right now is the climax of a cycle, not the start of clarity. The intensity doesn't mean you should end something or commit to something. It means you're standing at the peak of an emotional wave, and waves always come down. Let it come down first. Don't ignore what surfaces. If a truth comes out, if a person reappears, if a memory hits you out of nowhere during this window, pay attention. That's not random. The universe is holding something up for you to see, not to drag you backward, to confirm you've outgrown it, and the one that matters most, don't resist what's falling apart. If something is leaving your life, if something is breaking down without your permission, if something feels like it's ending and you can't stop it, let it go. The 29th degree of Pisces is the universe closing a chapter you've been trying to keep open past its expiration. Fighting it only stretches the pain. Releasing it is what creates the space for everything that's trying to reach you next. Now here's what I promised you earlier. The 3 zodiac signs that will feel this convergence more intensely than anyone else. If you're a Pisces, this is your new moon, and it's sitting at the very last degree of your own sign. This isn't just another lunar cycle for you. This is an identity-level purge. The version of you that's been operating for the past several months, maybe longer, is reaching its natural expiration point. You might feel unrecognizable to yourself right now. You might feel lost, foggy, emotionally raw in ways you can't quite explain. That's not a breakdown. That's the space between who you were and who you're becoming. The emptiness before rebirth always feels unsettling, but it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. If you're an Aries, the equinox activates your first house and you're walking directly into Saturn. This isn't a gentle transit. This is the beginning of a restructuring that will shape the next 2.5 years of your life. Everything you thought was solid is going to get tested, not destroyed, tested. Saturn sitting on your sign feels like being forged in something. It's heavy, it's slow, it's relentless, but what it builds doesn't crumble. The pressure you feel around March 20th is Saturn saying, I see potential here, and I'm not letting you waste it on shortcuts. And if you're a Virgo, this new moon lands directly in your 7th house. The house of relationships. A partnership, romantic or otherwise, is reaching a point of truth that can no longer be managed, avoided, or explained away. What you've been projecting onto someone else is about to reflect straight back at you, and it might not match what you expected to see. That's not comfortable, but it is clarifying. And clarity in the 7th house is always a gift, even when it arrives disguised as something painful. If you're a Sagittarius or Gemini, consider this your honorable mention. As mutable signs, you're caught in the crossfire of this energy. You'll feel the restlessness, the tension, the pull in opposing directions. Stay grounded. Avoid reactive decisions. Let this week pass before you act on anything that feels urgent. And now, it's time for today's comment of the day. I stopped waiting for the universe to give me permission and started trusting that I already had it. There's something disarmingly honest about this. Most people spend years looking for an external green light before they make a move, a sign, a confirmation, a moment where the sky says yes, now. But at some point, you realize the permission was never missing. You were just afraid to claim it without backup. Trusting yourself isn't arrogance. It's alignment that finally stopped apologizing for itself. Thank you for sharing that. So if March 20th isn't a day for action, what is it? It's a sacred pause. The space between an exhale and an inhale. The moment where the old cycle has fully ended, but the new one hasn't drawn its first breath. And that in-between space, as uncomfortable as it feels, is where the real clarity lies. Before the equinox arrives, write down what you're genuinely ready to release, not what you think sounds good. What you're actually done carrying, put it on paper, and if it feels right, burn it or bury it. Let the ritual be simple. The power isn't in complexity, it's in honesty. Then from March 20th through the 22nd, treat the window as observation. Gather information, feel into your intuition, draft ideas, journal. Notice what naturally rises in your mind without forcing anything forward, but don't pull the trigger on anything, not yet. The real green light opens around March 25th to 27th, when Mercury fully clears its retrograde shadow, and the moon begins waxing in Aries, with actual momentum behind it, rather than resistance in front of it. That's your window. That's when the energy cooperates with forward movement. The people who pause now and move then will carry a momentum into April that most people can't touch. That's not wishful thinking. That's how the timing works when you respect it. And if you're still here, thank you. March 20th isn't just another day on the calendar. It's a threshold. 3 cosmic events stacking on top of each other, asking you to slow down when everything inside you wants to speed up. And the choices you don't make during this window are just as powerful as the ones you do. In my next video, I'm going to cover what happens when Mars shifts signs and why the first week of April could change everything for certain signs you wouldn't expect. Make sure you're subscribed so that one doesn't pass you by. Whatever this window brings into your awareness, let it inform you rather than overwhelm you. March 20th doesn't require perfection from you. It doesn't expect certainty or control. It asks for honesty and a willingness to wait when waiting feels impossible. Trust the timing. The universe knows what it's doing, even when you don't.